One. There you go.
Hey, welcome, and we're back. The show they tried to shut down last week, we're back again. The magic, the soccer, and you. Back for part 2, the second show. They thought it could never happen, but we are. And it actually, big welcome to Charlie and to Stephen. We survived. We survived the Premier League Cullovers on Monday. So big well done to Stephen for getting us back up on YouTube. And I've got to say, it's been an interesting week, guys.
For you.
Do you know something? I'm going to start off. I'm going to say I'm John, right? And I'm infiltrating all of this because I'm the Evertonian out of a crew that has got 2 other Liverpudlians who've been through the worst week in their lives. So I'm gonna ask everyone, just cast your mind back. Just let's even forget today. Let's cast our minds back to Thursday. Because Thursday was the most hilarious night, I think, as an Evertonian I've had for a long time. Because when Burnley goes to Anfield, you're not expecting Burnley to come out of there with 3 points. And I've got to say, guys, you didn't. It was a typical Burnley performance, but it really. I was dumbstruck because I wasn't expecting it, and particularly since it was Premier League game as well. You know, I think that's one of the key things for me. It was
How much do you weigh the crowd missing?
Yeah,
especially at Anfield games.
Yeah,
how much do you think that comes into play, especially this season?
Massive.
Without doubt, yeah, without doubt.
It's like no one has a home field advantage anymore. You know, and Anfield was a fortress. You know, when you're in there, other teams, even before the game, with the noise and the support from the Anfield crowd and them singing and stuff like that, even before the game starts, it puts the other team in a frame of mind that, holy cow, what are we up against? You know, and that's not there this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think we touched upon this last week as well. You know, I think we were off the back of Manchester City having rolled Crystal Palace for 4, but with John Stones scoring a couple of goals, and he's suddenly become a great looking player again, which is good to see. But I thought on Thursday night, I wondered, irrespective of how good the Kop is, you know, Burnley really did do a job on Liverpool. They didn't just park one bus. You know, they were that organised. The first bus was a back 4, which was exceptional throughout. And then the midfield was basically the second bus of 5. And they just went about the job. And I can't, you know, I don't think you can complain about the fact that they snuck a goal at the end. You know, I think they came for 0-0.
That game plan, I think a lot of teams now adopt against Liverpool, though. You know, if you have that certain setup,
I think it
totally nullifies a lot of things because they know Liverpool's trying to go down the wings and bomb the center.
Yeah,
and if you control that center, then you're keeping Liverpool out of the net, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah. And I think that's been our problem, Charlie. Is we've been a bit too predictable now. You know, people have got onto us. They've got onto how we play. You know, we're still playing the same way. I think we need to you know, change it up a little bit, change our style a little bit. But like I said last week, I think what's hindering us as well is the fact that the fullbacks can't get as forward as they must have done beforehand because the injuries we've got. I'm not making excuses. There's no excuses there to be had. But, you know, we're not able to spread the game as much. So all teams have to need to do is just stay narrow and deep. Yeah. And they've got us. Man United done it to us against, I know we're going to talk about that in a bit, but Man United done it to us again today. They stayed narrow, deep. All right, we got a couple of goals. So it was a good game, to be fair, today. But it was the typical, like, you're forward. You haven't got the usual people at the back who's going to be able to defend. You know, so they can hit it over the top and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think as well, Stephen, and I think this is one of the key parts to all of this. You know, I watched Cheltenham Town play Man City yesterday. Yeah, it was the cup, but again, for 80 out of the 90 minutes, they were that well organised that City just couldn't find a way through until those last 10 minutes. Yeah. And I think Liverpool, and if we want to keep it with Liverpool to start with tonight, Liverpool are going to find a different way of playing, because actually, I think a lot of teams at the minute are finding if you just basically do put them two banks in front of your back four, you're there, and you become very, very difficult for Liverpool to play their normal game.
Yeah.
Hi, Grateful to Disney. Thanks for being here.
Yay!
Yes, I think that I've been noticing a difference between this season and the last couple previous seasons in regards to Mane and Salah. What I want to see more from Mane and Salah, which I haven't seen a lot this season, is I want to see them challenging, dribbling into the box, taking on these defenders one-on-one and drawing fouls. I haven't seen any fouls like penalties in so many games where, you know, Salah and Mane, they have speed, they have skill. They should be trying to take these guys on and drawing a foul, you know, getting us penalty score at least once in a while, but they're not doing it at all now.
No.
It doesn't seem like they're doing it.
No.
Do you know something from an outside point of view? And again, this is where I find this is quite a useful chat, because, you know, you guys are looking at a front three that have been really successful over the past couple of years and so on. But actually, I think there's something in the fact that Mane and Salah they don't seem to talk to each other. They don't want to pass to each other, and I don't know what's going on in the club, but it seems really odd, because when Salah gets the ball, he doesn't want to pass it across to Mane, and vice versa, and it becomes as if you've got two strikers working in isolation that actually.
It's like
no communication there either.
Did you guys seen that Burnley game right on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Where you had
I seen the first 70 minutes and I turned it off. I just couldn't.
But you had
it was irritating me too much.
Divock.
That's what I was doing.
You had Divock Origi. He has a breakaway, right? And he has Mane on his left, wide open.
Yeah.
You know, all he had to do is just slide it over to him and he tucks it away. I mean, these people aren't thinking. Either they're not seeing or they're being told to be greedy more. It's like they're being greedy when they should be passing, and they're passing when they should be greedy. They got it all mixed up.
Yeah.
And we see that again today, Charlie, with the I know you don't get the FA Cup over there, but we see this today with Salah. He had a good chance in the he was in the box, and Mane was sort of free over to, I think it was over to his left, and he could have just passed it over to him and passed it to Mane, and Mane could have been in, but he went for the shot. But this is the thing, Mane. The conversation between Mane and Salah is an old conversation, because it's been going on since they've both been at the club. Because Salah's a very selfish player, Mane's not. And I was saying this to Sarah before when we were watching the game, saying the thing is with Mane would probably pass the ball when he's got a goal to shoot at, and Salah will shoot at a goal when he hasn't got one to shoot at. That sums up the two players, I think. They're both very, very good players in their own right, you know, and you can see there's a bit of animosity between them. But I like that, me. I'm one of them old-fashioned people that likes to see that. I like to see that in the players. I want to see them being hungry for the way they would play it, but then get over themselves and play as the team, you know. And I think the two of them do that.
Welcome in, Disney Dan, a Spurs.
Dan's got a really good point there, though, because actually talking about the connection that Kane and Son have exposed. You know, between the two of them, at times it's like telepathic. They don't need to actually see each other, you know, and it works vice versa. They will actually play a ball with the back to the other player. Now, actually, they will know where they actually are and what space that they're in, and it's lovely to watch.
Yeah,
but I think that's what you want, and to be honest, Stephen, I think the way it's gone at Liverpool, it was great when you were playing well, but in times such as these, you need your two strikers to be much more in tune with each other, because it's costing you games and costing you points, and ultimately it's going to end up costing Liverpool the league this season if they don't sort something out quickly.
We're not going to win the league this season. It's not going to happen. For me, Man City the favourites now.
Yeah,
Man United don't rule Man United out either. Do you know what I mean? They're going on a bit of a run there, but at the same time, John, I know you say we're going through a bit of a run and stuff like that, but the last 2 or 3 years we haven't been on a run like this.
No.
It's I was just going to say before, it's a mark of the times, the fact that I went onto Twitter before and I looked at some of the comments being made by the Liverpool fans, like the FSG out group has made the noise again and stuff like that. And oh, for God's sakes! So we have to show that now.
Okay.
But anyway,
Stop sharing. All right.
We've had a bad run. We're going through a bit of a bad run. We've lost. We lost 2 games on the bounce. One in the league, one in the FA Cup today. We've drew a few. We haven't won for a while. We scored our first goal this week today in a while. But seriously, honestly, it's been a long time since we've been through something like that. We've been spoilt over the last 2 or 3 years as Liverpool fans. We've been really, really spoiled. And it hurt. I'm sitting here going, it hurts like hell the run we're going through. But I'm thinking this feels the same pain as I had when I seen Liverpool finishing 7th and 8th, only 10, 15 years ago,
You need to get used to that, Stephen. I've years of it as an Evertonian, so finishing 7th or 8th was half decent.
We won't mention 1995, John.
I must admit, I was watching before the game even started tonight. They had Michael Owen, the esteemed Michael Owen, who's played for Liverpool and Man United and Newcastle. And he turned around, it was just like such a flippant throwaway comment. It was just like, oh, and Everton are not going to win the league this season. I thought, hang on, we're not even here to talk about the league or anything here, Michael Owen. And you're having a below the table kick at us. And it's just a bang out of order.
Yeah.
Really.
Everton have 2 games in hand too over Liverpool. So if you guys win those 2, you're up there with the top 3, right?
Yeah. Thing is, Charlie, we win those 2 and we're close to the 40 points and we're not going to get relegated. I'll be happy with that.
Stop talking like that, John. You're a Scouser. I know Everton are the enemy, but you're a Scouser. Stop talking like that. Scousers strive to be the top, and that's all.
Too many years. I was going to say as well, and this is possibly fair play to Liverpool today as well. Man United looked absolutely superb today.
Yeah,
and they'd rotated some of their side as well, and I've got for all I dislike Pogba, I think he's possibly the catalyst as to where United are actually playing remarkably well at the moment. Because what Pogba, to be honest, I've always thought of Pogba being one of them lazy backsided players. He just turns up when he fancies it, and I don't want him in my team. But either somebody's promised him a new contract or more money or something like that, because he's past 3 or 4 games he's decided to turn up. And he was superb today, absolutely superb. And I think as a team, I don't think many teams today would have beaten Man United.
Yeah. Disney Zam bringing his rivalry with Arsenal on here.
The thing is, though, Dan's team have still got to play Wickham tomorrow night. You see, now Wickham, for all the fact that they're not they're struggling at the bottom of the championship and such like, but there hasn't been one of those nice upsets in the cup yet, And I think, it would be really funny if it was Spurs. Because it wasn't us. I was expecting Sheffield Wednesday to do a job on Everton. So, that'd be quite nice because we played the winner of that game. So I'd quite enjoy an Everton Wickham in the next round. Would be rather good.
Yeah, I would love Sheffield Wednesday just to make the Premier League again, just because I love their name.
Sheffield Wednesday, yeah.
It'd be awesome.
It's one of them. It's one of them classic ones, isn't it?
Yeah. Why is it Sheffield Wednesday and not Sheffield Thursday or Friday?
They obviously couldn't be bothered to wait for the weekend, Charlie. That's what it was. Look at that. He hopes Tottenham batter Liverpool after the comment there. You know what? The way this is going at the minute, you probably will. You'll probably absolutely hammer us at the moment. The way we're going through at the minute, it's awful. It's horrible to see. It really is. Can we move from Liverpool? Because we were chatting with me on and like trying to. We're going to talk about it later about linking teams to characters. I think I asked tonight, can we call Liverpool Voldemort this week? The team that shall not be named.
Oh,
It's so much. No.
frustration.
It is. But do you know what? There was a tweet that James Milner put out, and it was something around, there was a lot of like negative comments coming around, how Liverpool is run. We've got to be in this together. We're going through a bit of a bad spell, but we'll get through it. Do you know what I mean? Just come on, we'll be through it.
I don't see it.
Bad games. We've had bad spells before.
Yeah.
It's just they're so long in the memory now. Long far back in the memory, you forgot about them. And that's how, like I said before, that's what we mean. We're spoiled. We've been spoiled to the Bill fans.
Not agree with you.
Yeah.
We just won 4 trophies last year or so, right? It's the last couple of years. It's like I don't have any worries about Klopp. I don't have any worries about the team. Obviously the last, dry spells are going to happen. There's going to be spells where the team is not
still champions,
Yeah. I know.
Last long.
with Van Dijk and Gomez and stuff coming back and stuff pretty soon, it should be
definitely.
Things just about getting better.
Yeah, I said it last week. It's a funny season this season. We've started too quick. I was watching today, John, and like I said, to give a bit of a rose-tinted view on it before we come live, and I thought there was 2 spells, one before halftime and after halftime, where United just looked the better team, really dominant. But for the rest of it, I just thought Liverpool were more on top than what United were. But we looked fatigued. We looked tired.
Yeah.
We weren't dominant chase. I watched one instance where Trent Alexander-Arnold, they were tracking back and the ball was coming over, and rather than giving that bolt of speed to get to the ball, he just let it go through in front of him. Now, obviously, it might have looked a bit like that from the angle of the camera. I don't know whether it was that or what, but I just thought the legs looked heavy. United's legs looked light.
Yeah, it was strange though, and given the fact I really like Andy Robertson as a fullback, his first defensive gesture for that first United goal when Greenwood basically running for pace, he was shouting, he was yelling before he actually went. Before he even thought of making a tackle, he was trying to put Greenwood off just by shouting. And if anybody gets a chance to go and watch it back, because as Greenwood is seeing the ball coming across towards him, he just about gets control, and all you can see is Robertson basically making a noise to stop him.
Yeah.
When he makes no difference at that point, Robertson then engages with, how am I going to make a tackle? But it was too late.
Yeah,
it was too late. And for a player that is particularly good in Robertson, if that millisecond of thinking your brain where you're thinking, let's shout at him and put him off, well, he'd put that bit of effort into actually making that little bit of ground up, he could have made the tackle. And that's perhaps where they're at, Stephen. And I think that's possibly that tiredness. They know that they can't get that last 5% when they're faced on a one-on-one. And I think both fullbacks are struggling. And I know we spoke about it last week. I don't want to go across the same points again. That they're not getting upfield because they know that the centre-half position isn't as good. But there's more to it. There's more to it. And if we want to move it on, because there's lots of people who watch this show who are not Liverpool fans, and just
enjoying it all the same.
just enjoy talking about football, and talking like that. The one team I've watched in the past 7 days who've really shocked me as to how poor they are. If you think Liverpool are on a run, Newcastle United look absolutely spent. They didn't even look at the races. They played Villa in midweek, right? They played Villa, and then they also on Saturday, but they also played Arsenal last Monday, and in both games they were shocking. And so as somebody who's looking at, I know Newcastle fans are fed up to the back teeth of Steve Bruce, but the standard of football, they'd be quite glad that the grounds are shut. Because I know fine well that the Geordie faithful at St James's Park would be giving them absolutely what for. If they were on the Leazes end or at the Gallagate end, those players would be getting it. because they're not good enough to put on that black and white shirt for Newcastle.
Yeah, totally agree. It's such a great club as well, John.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love it when a club has, you know, that passion. The fans have the passion for the team. You know, and Newcastle most definitely have that. You know, up in the northeast, you know, they are mad. They're mad as that. They are as mad as that. They really are. But you know, they're passionate. They're passionate about the team, and they, to be fair, they don't want Steve Bruce, but they know what the real problem is there. It's the owner.
Absolutely, yeah.
The owner's the problem. It's not. He's not getting the right manager in. He's not spending the right money in the right place. He's not allowing the club to progress in the way they should be doing. You know. Maybe we should keep that in mind when we're like attributing a Disney character to Newcastle and thing. So we attribute it not to insult the Newcastle faithful, because I think they're as passionate as anyone.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll ever come across. You'll certainly see fans who are just as passionate as Newcastle. Like back at home, John. You know, in Liverpool, you got the Everton, Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
We're just as passionate, you know, but I wouldn't say we're more passionate than the Newcastle fans. You know, they're nuts for it. They live for the football club.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's something we should think about. But think about Mike Ashley rather than the Newcastle faithful, you know.
And I think that applies across the board. You know, I think there's fans of a lot of football clubs. Yeah, I'm thinking of sort of lower league clubs where, you know, Bury, a prime example, who ended up going bust.
They did, yeah.
There's so many clubs that are owned by people who are not fit. You wouldn't even let them go and own a dog, because you know they're not fit to actually own a dog. Never mind a football club. But hopes and dreams of thousands of fans throughout the world, and Ashley's the world's worst, because he's taken money out of that club. You know, you think of the TV money that goes into every single Premier League football club every single year. Any I'm thinking, was it Kabaye that they had there a few years ago, was absolutely top notch. You know, you'd have built a side around him. He's shipped out, and then suddenly they're not left with anything. They spend money on Almiron, who came from Atlanta, who is an exceptionally good player, but he's not playing the right position. But no. I don't know. I'd love a Newcastle. I'd love to go out for a pint with a Newcastle fan and sit there and just listen to them, because I think they need a hell of a lot of counselling at the minute.
They do. They do. And to be fair, they'll probably need it. Yeah, you know. Yeah. I don't know whether that could last more than half an hour. Constantly, you know, there'll be a lot of negativity there, but you know what? They've got reason to.
Yeah, and I think as well, what they also need to remember is it's all well and good looking at different people, the Saudi takeover that didn't go right, and you know, you've got to be careful what you wish for. You know, with anybody coming into your club and offering money. You know, Liverpool were fortunate, Everton have been fortunate that they got some money, but we're still looking at football clubs that have been taken over and treated exceptionally badly. You know,
John, it nearly happened to Liverpool a few years ago, didn't it? It nearly happened to Liverpool a few years ago. You know,
too right.
You know, we've got. I think for me, FSG have done a great job at Liverpool. There's still a section of fans that are a little bit sceptical over American owners. No disrespect to you, Charlie, on your part, not America itself. You know, not that. There's still a section of, because what George Gillette and Tom Hicks done was an abomination. We nearly, if it wasn't for FSG, let's just put it this way: if it wasn't for FSG fighting for ownership through the courts, they would know Liverpool Football Club as we speak right now.
100%.
They got the clause into us and done that. And only I think it was about a year or 2 years ago, Tom Hicks come out with the statement and give his side of the story. And he said he wanted to invest in the club, but it was George Gillette. He just wanted to suck everything out.
Yeah.
He just wanted to suck everything out of the club and then just leave it and at least leave it to rack and ruin. He had no respect for the club. He didn't want to see the club go further. Tom Hicks was like, the only reason Tom Hicks went back to George Gillette is because when he went for the first offer, he didn't quite have enough collateral behind him to say, right, I can get this club going. And we're going to remember before that, it was which one was it? It was, you got John Moores. John Moores was the dad, and you had the Moores family. One of the brothers owned Everton at the time, John.
Yeah.
I think it was David Moores. David Moores it was that owns us at the time. We'll come back to that. I see
Carlos is a great point in the chat.
I'd like to delve into that in a minute because I'm interested in that. But he saved us. John Henry did save Liverpool. If it was, and this is what I don't get. I've seen it today. I've seen it today on Twitter. There's been a few bad results, and I've seen the FSG out crowd again. I'm going, why? I'm not being funny, nothing. We've been on a great run for 2 or 3 years. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even exist. They've brought in a philosophy with us where we're now commercially a much stronger club than we ever have been. That's why Man United dominated for so long, because they got the commercials right. They got that side of it right. But I'm like, John Henry is, as far as I'm concerned, the longer FSG are in charge of Liverpool, the better for me.
Yeah,
you can't predict when a player's going to go cold for 4 or 5 games. You can't predict that. Statistics, and the big thing about Moneyball and all that type of thing is statistics. You can go with the statistics, but you can't tell when someone's going to go cold for a couple games. There's no way. Even no matter how much money you have, you can't predict that type of thing. Welcome in, Carlos.
I think that's spot on. And I think the other side to this is you look at the reaction over a period of time at Manchester United. So, though United, Ferguson goes, suddenly they can't keep hold of a manager for more than sort of a year or two. They get Mourinho in. It's not the answer. There's all this, sack the Glazers. The Glazers are the worst thing that has ever happened to the club. Suddenly they put Solskjaer in charge, the top of the league. Nobody's talking about the Glazers anymore. That's not on the agenda.
It's
that short term and that short-minded philosophy of the football fan in some respects, isn't it? Everybody wants to win the league. Everybody doesn't want to be in this predicament. But actually, you've got to take that longer-term view as to the actual stability of your club. Because there has to be a long-term view. There has to be a long-term picture, and not everyone can win the league. Not everyone can qualify for the Champions League every single year. But you've got, as a fan, you've got to take a little bit of a reality check. And going back to Newcastle, I think their reality check is the fact that their football team on the pitch are playing shocking style of football. The manager hasn't got a clue. The owner hasn't got a clue. And at that point, that's where it sort of all capitulates, and it's all just a downward spiral, isn't it? At least you guys are looking at the top end of the table. And, I think Carlos's point there, John Henry's whole point is about taking a gamble, isn't it? It's a financial gamble when he bought all the shares in Liverpool. Similar as to when he bought in at the Red Sox. He's not going to be a poor man after all of this, is he?
Which one does he sell, though? Does he sell the Red Sox? Massive baseball club.
I don't think he has to sell either. I don't necessarily agree with Carlos saying that he stopped caring about the Red Sox because, again, you can't be just pouring money constantly into teams. You got to let them, you got to let the players come up through the farming system or whatever, and you got to, trust your coaches. Last year we had that big thing going on where we got rid of the coach from stealing signals from other teams or whatever. And that's kind of stuff unfortunately happens as well. It's not John Henry's fault, and it's just after a while you can't be pouring 300 million into a team every year after year after year after year. You can't do it. Not even the billionaires can do it. It's just you gotta have some type of normal years. And for that, Red Sox fans don't accept normal years. They want everything to be. They want to be in the top. They want to be in the playoffs all the time. So
sounds like Liverpool fans, Charlie, doesn't it? I think the two clubs have two different sports, but they sound very familiar.
They are definitely very, very. Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah, but I'd just like to add on to that. And what you just said there, don't think he needs to sell them. I don't think he's ever come in and spent £300 million. If you looked at the net spend of Liverpool since they've come in and what they've sold and brought in, his whole plan with Liverpool was you've got to feed off your own means.
Yeah.
he has put money in, and he has come close to breaching that what we have over here at the was it the FIFA fair.
The financial fair play, isn't it?
Fair play. Sorry, John. Yeah, you're right. Financial fair play. He come close to breaching it. We couldn't purchase people for. I think it was like 1 or 2 transfer windows. We couldn't do it because we were that close to breaching it. But I think what he's trying to instill at Liverpool is right. Earn the money, increase the commercial output of Liverpool, because Liverpool have a global outreach. You know, we've got fans in probably every continent in the world. I think if you actually had a look at the biggest supporter clubs in the world, you've got Man United, who's one, and Liverpool, who's second. We've got more supporters than what you would class as the big Galacticos of Real Madrid and Barcelona. We've got more supporters them globally than them.
Yeah.
So all he's done is use his head. Well, I'm going to tap into that market, and that's what we're going to get our money from. We haven't got a great amount of money at the moment because COVID's impacting. That's having an impact on everyone. It's got to be having.
Yeah.
I think if we widen it away from Liverpool again, you look at teams like Chelsea and Arsenal, who for years have spent a lot of money on a lot of players that they don't use. You look at the Mesut Ozil bit at Arsenal, where a player that they've spent just the most ridiculous amount just on his annual salary. Because they're allowed to go for free to Turkey. And yet there's a team there that are completely bereft at the minute of any true direction on the pitch. And as much as I don't rate Ozil as the player that could turn them around, you know, you look at Arsenal, the amount they've spent a lot of money, and they seem to just sort of spend it. And there's some of those transfer fees. I think Sakho is like 70 million. You know, and likewise Chelsea are really struggling as a team because they keep buying individual players, but trying to mold them as a team, they don't know what's going to happen next. And you know, these big spending teams just don't seem to have that ability to just mold what happened first off at Leicester. You know, let's not forget Leicester have won the Premier League recently, and again they're looking a very, very close knit team.
Yeah,
you know, and you know they're a really good example of it. They've not spent a hell of a lot of money, but what they do is they make best with what they've got. They then recognise, as they did with Mahrez, okay, you know, we could do with him, but if you're going to pay us silly money, then we have to sell him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really how these teams, you know, how on earth Southampton keep going? You know, you look at Southampton must have a best of team playing for a number of different Premier League clubs.
Yeah, they've been our biggest supplier for a long time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But they keep coming back for more, and they keep reinventing themselves as a team. And that's a really good example there of a youth system which saves you an awful lot of money, but which helps you to begin to see, you know, just sort of what's out there and what you can actually do as a football team without necessarily having all of the commercial element that United, Liverpool, Spurs possibly, you know, they've got the commercial elements of it very high tapped and are able to sort of push that across worldwide.
Yeah,
I don't think you sell many Southampton shirts across the USA, do you?
No,
you know, it's one of them sort of smaller clubs, and you know, I don't know. I think this is why I enjoy sort of weekends like this, when you know when we get to see some of the smaller teams. You know, mentioned before, you know, Cheltenham Town, I've got to say, to me, was one of the performances of the weekend.
I would get an Ings shirt. That's about it.
Yeah.
I like Danny.
Yeah. But the cup itself over here, Charlie, I know you guys don't get to see it, you know, on the mainstream TV across there. It's got to be a reminder to these big clubs with the big money that actually there's a sort of food chain beneath the Premier League, and it's got to be supported. These smaller clubs in the UK, you know, I think, you know, Stephen's talking about sort of COVID having massive impact on Liverpool's ambition. But these clubs from lower league and the non-league setup in the UK, you know, I'm a season ticket holder at my local non-league team. We've only had 3 games this season, and the season's then suspended. But the club's still got bills to pay.
We're about halfway through the season, right? I don't know how. So, is there any sight of fans coming back anytime soon, or
I don't think so. Not
Here
the way.
we have our football stadium. That's we have the Bucks playing the Packers, and there's probably 20,000 people in that stadium.
Yeah.
So you guys even they're spread out and stuff. So you guys can't even do
No.
that right now. It's like
Not the minute.
What we had before is we had the tiered system. So the UK government's implemented was like a tier system. So 1 through to 4. Most of the country was in tier 3 or 4 when they brought that in. I think we alluded to it last week. Liverpool was in tier 2.
Yeah.
So if we were in tier 2, you could have 2,000 people in your stadiums. Now, this again just goes, it's just mad because at the end of the day, you go, what they were thinking of is, the smaller clubs can only hold 3,000 or 4,000 people. So you have 2,000. That's half, a nice gap. But when you get to the bigger teams like Everton and Liverpool and stuff like that, where they can hold 30, 40, 50,000 people in there, you stick 2,000 people in there, it makes no difference. What they should have done is put a percentage. But, it's one of them. It's hard. I was actually sitting there thinking today, watching the game, Liverpool Man United again today.
it's like
I was, going, it's just normal for there to be no crowd in there. It's just become normal now, and it's sad because I used to love going down to the stadium and getting into the crowd and having the sing song and getting in with the atmosphere and stuff like that. And it's just sad, and I'd like to see it happen soon, but at the end of the day, Charlie, we're at the point of we've got the vaccines now. We just need to do that final push. And that final push is like, I don't know, when I was young, you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at me. I used to do a lot of cross-country running, right? And the hardest bit of that race was always the last 100 metres. Yeah. It was always the last 100 metres that was the hardest part of that race because the end was in sight and you just had to push that little bit further to get over the line. Yeah. And I think it's the same now. We just need to go. We can't get to the stadiums. Love to get to the stadiums. I think you come up with a good point last week, Charlie. If you've had COVID before, why can't you go in? But then John come up with an equally good counter comment on that. He's like, well, what's going to stop the people from saying, I've had COVID? Because trust me, here in Liverpool, people will do that. They will say, I've had COVID simply to get into the ground. Yeah. I mean, if you want a good example of what Scousers will do to get to a football stadium, right? Go and watch old footage of the 1986 FA Cup final between Liverpool and Everton, where they're scaling 4 or 5 story size buildings to get in through a little window. Yeah. Do you remember it, John?
I do remember it well.
That's just what Scousers will do. They will literally they will barge past the barricade to get in. They will do anything to get into that ground. So it's good that we're not doing that. But yeah.
All right. So what's next, guys?
If we just have a quick look again, I'm looking towards next weekend because obviously once the cup's out of the way, we've got a set of midweek fixtures this week, which start on Tuesday.
Again, a load of get. Sorry, John, just jump in. Again, we're going back. I saw this before about fatigue.
Yeah.
Just overloading the season. There's another midweek game again.
Yeah.
Why? I know these guys are on X amount of money a week.
Yeah, I heard they had. I know Liverpool had what 10 games in 30 days. Is that
something like that? It's bananas. That'd be bananas. It's just
it is. Yeah.
It's not like it's a game like cricket. Where you stood about for half an hour or 3 or 4 hours on the boat. Right? They're running about, these guys, and the body, they're only human at the end of the day. The amount of money they get paid each week is not going to stop them from being human.
Yeah,
human.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was even looking right this midweek. So you've gone from last midweek where Liverpool played on the Thursday, they played Sunday, they're playing this Thursday. We've then got a set of weekend fixtures. So we've got Everton Newcastle next Saturday to look forward to, but equally Arsenal are at home to Manchester United. So by the time we get back to next Sunday, Liverpool are playing West Ham away, which I think could be quite an interesting game given the way that West Ham are playing at the minute. Chelsea have got Burnley visiting them next Sunday, which could be an interesting one. And then we're into another midweek. So we've got another midweek where you've got Premier League football, and I think there used to come a time where you'd be like, and you'd be like, oh great, there's the midweek game, and when we used to go to match, there's nothing better than a dark midweek where when you go in the game, it was just like absolutely. I love. There's something about going to Goodison when the floodlights are on, and it was amazing. But at the minute, it's overkill for the TV viewer, and it's overkill as regard of what you can expect of these players.
Definitely.
I think Charlie, you mentioned about Danny Ings earlier.
Yeah.
And he's a prime example. He's just come back from injury, he picked up another injury, but he's back quickly again. And you just wonder, these players they're human beings.
Yeah.
It's the big, they're well paid human beings, but there's got to be a limit to it. And I think we're in a position at the moment where are we just seeing contractual sort of obligation of the TV rights, and also the awareness that we've got Euro 2020 from last season to fit in the summer, so the season must finish. They can't afford to have that downtime, and they did the first lockdown over here. So I don't know, it's just accelerated, and it's tricky.
Is this clump of games a result from them starting they didn't start late? Did they start the season late?
It was a little bit late. It was a little bit late.
late.
It didn't start till end of September. They missed about the first 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 weeks at the start of the year. But
yeah, and plus the short break that they had between the two seasons, that's going to be adding up things now. Yeah, so
Definitely.
So I'd take it for the money.
I definitely take it for the money, but it's still hard for them, It's the fixtures that John's just listed there. It felt like there's another Christmas period coming up.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. There's coming up, and it's like constant Christmas. And I'm with you, John. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I think it is. I think it's commercially driven. I think it's down to. We've got the Euro 2020 to do. That's this summer. They needed to finish last season. They should have just really said, you know what, we'll condense this season. Rather than condense it in a load of games in between, just say, right, instead of playing each other twice, we're all going to play each other once in a neutral stadium.
Yeah.
That's an option that they could have done, at the end of the day. And they're going to get to the Euro 2020 and they're all going to be knackered. So what kind of Euro 2020 you want to get?
Yeah, and then we all start again. And if you're a team that's got a lot of players who played in Euro 2020 in 2021, which is always going to be a difficult one, isn't it? But if you've got players that are playing through the summer and then you're suddenly starting again come August, you're then in a position where your players have not had a rest now for over 2 years. In a few players' circumstances, depending on what's happened on summer tours, etc. These players are playing 12 months of the year, and that's wrong. That's no matter. I don't care what sort of professional athlete you are. That's not sustainable.
No. And so just to add another thought in the mix there, John, there's normally a Euro 2020, a gap, and then the World Cup.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have the Euro 2020 and 2021, so you're then going to have the World Cup in 2022.
Yeah.
So it's where you draw the line, isn't it, with them? It's like it's ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous. But anyway,
they got to have breaks, I guess. I guess it comes down to team management at that point, right? Giving people, okay, you have next week off, you have next week off, you have the week after that off, and just do it like they.
That's great if teams aren't getting the injuries that they're getting at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
isn't it? They're having to play.
Paper.
That's true. Yeah. So, Stephen, do you want to share with our viewers your cunning plan about how we're going to Disney up the show? Because we're all big Disney fans.
Yeah,
and I think it's worth sharing with everyone because actually it'll give everybody until next week to have their own view as to what we're about to say. But yeah, we can talk about football, we can talk about soccer, whatever you want to call it. But deep down, we're all big Disney geeks out there, and let's add a bit of Disney into this show as well.
Yeah. So the idea is that, it's to get people involved as well who are Disney. Like I said, I put a tweet out before and said that you're a fan of Disney, you're a fan of football, you're a fan of either, or this show's for you. And I think the plan we've got is it will help people come in and relate to the football. Charlie alluded to it in the show this morning. That, if we get like a Disney character and assign it to a team, okay? So, like I said before, it wasn't a Disney character like Liverpool being Voldemort. I'd like Man United to be Voldemort. But it's like what Disney character would suit which club? So look at the personality of the club, look at the personality of the Disney character. Let's assign that to each one. And then when you've got people coming in and engaging with the show, which we hope people do, and getting involved, because us three, we have a passion for football. It's clear as that. But not all Disney fans do. But what we all have a common interest in is Disney. Yeah. So if you've got like a favourite Disney character, you could probably say Tottenham is Goofy, right? And you don't know who Tottenham is, you don't know who football is, but you can certainly from week on week follow how Goofy's doing in the Premier League, how they're doing in the FA Cup, and then we can, I don't know, maybe we could assign the clubs in the FA Cup, because you've got different clubs in the FA Cup. You've got the clubs from the lower teams, lower leagues coming in. I don't know, just add a bit of fun into it. It'll add that little bit of, Maleficent's overtook, Goofy, or Mickey Mouse has made a howler there, and just bring that into the conversation. I think it engage a lot more people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Possible, yes. That's the idea of it, anyways, right?
But how do we assign characters to the clubs, right? Do we do it as us three, or do we start saying, I don't know, just shooting ideas out, up to you two guys to agree or disagree? We get people on the show, what football clubs you support. Do you follow football? No, I don't. What's your favourite character? And we'll find a club that suits you. I don't know. Let's see. It's an idea. Let's get it out there. Let's do it. Let's Disneyfy this up a bit. Let's get it done. Like you say, it's Disney or football. And because Liverpool's Voldemort to me this week, I've got Disney top on.
Yeah. It's got to be, again, just we're starting off, so we're trying to come up with ideas.
Yeah.
How we can make it more, attract more of the Disney folks that follow us as well.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the goal.
I will get there, guys. Don't you worry. We'll find a way of doing it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
It'll be much better when Liverpool is winning and we're much happier people.
I'll remind you of that.
We're still champions.
Klopp reminded me a lot of Hades this at the Burnley game. Him and I thought he was going to bring that other. I forgot the guy's name. He's going to go out back and they were going to have words at halftime.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, Sean Dyche. I'll tell you one thing. Klopp soon changed his mind.
He lost his head, didn't he? Like that. He was like that going down the tunnel. Klopp.
He changed his mind when Sean Dyche turned out. So don't think
turned around and was like,
whoa. Yeah, there's not many people who would you would actually turn around to Sean Dyche and even sort of say boo to, because he was an intimidating centre half in his day as well. So as a manager, I think he still has the same reputation.
I'd like to know what was said in that tunnel. That's all I want to know, because the two of them were at it, weren't they?
Yeah.
Sean Dyche has obviously had something that Jurgen Klopp didn't like,
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? I love all that though. That's passion now. That's passion.
Yeah.
Jurgen was passionate. Sean was passionate. That's football. That's sport. Doesn't matter what sport you follow. That's what you're passionate about, don't you? No, great.
I like the passionate the managers. I like Klopp. I like when he's when things are going well, there's a triple fist pump at the end of the game, gets the crowd into it and stuff like that. I'd much rather have one of them than just your managers who always say the same thing. Like Brendan Rodgers never seemed to get enough for me. He's analytical, and he's like, okay, I need to say certain things. He's like a politician almost, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have, you know, I would have if we had a rotten game, I want the manager to be pissed off. You know, I want him to show it that he's not
Okay.
the things, you know.
I think Everton's got a good manager in Nuno. Carlo Ancelotti. I think he's doing well. I've got, like I say, my best man at my wedding was an Evertonian, John. He's, you know, and I was talking to him the other week, and I thought what he's done at Everton in such a short time is good.
It certainly is, you know.
He's
And
done
even
a really,
tonight-
really good job.
But even tonight, looking at they play Sheffield Wednesday tonight, and that was my worst nightmare of a cup draw, really, because it was the type of game that when the past 3 or 4 managers at Everton, you play Sheffield Wednesday, the players wouldn't turn up. There'd be a sort of arrogance that you just had to sort of pass the ball around, and the result will happen. And it's not like that under Ancelotti. It's a completely different mindset, and that's the step forward, and it's lovely to see. But he's been successful everywhere he's been.
He has. He's a winner, John. That's what it is. He's a winner.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to bring to Everton. Like, look where Everton is in the table, you know. And I'm not being funny. And in a couple of years, it's Everton we're going to need to be worrying about, because I forget the name of the owner. He's certainly willing to put the money in and back him, you know. But he got Yames, James, I'd call him, but Yames is what he's called. He's a good player, you know.
You know something, Stephen? When his English improves, and once the crowd are backing Goodison, you know, he's going to turn around and he's going to be introduced on the bit as James Rodriguez, and he'll turn around to him and go, "Give us that mic here. Look, the name's James. We just call him James." And then drop the mic. Call me by my proper name.
Yeah.
My initial reaction when they hired Ancelotti was they're gonna finish top 4. So
Yeah.
I still think they're gonna finish top 4. I just hope it's not at the expense of Liverpool.
The way we're going at the minute, it's going to be at the expense of someone else, not us. We'll only be down the table. Out of the pitch, yeah. But yeah, the Everton. When I watched Everton, I've only watched Everton a couple of times this season, John. But James, he does bring a different dimension to you.
Totally. You
know, he's got that football, what I call a good footballing brain.
Yeah.
You know, you can see things that you don't necessarily see, and he'll do it. Yeah. You know, I think it's been lacking, really.
Don't get me wrong, he doesn't tackle, he doesn't do anything, but actually what he does do is he finds some space that affords him to start pinging a ball around the pitch. And when he does that, that's where that footballing brain you can't buy. You know, and I think that's where you look at other teams that are playing well.
So I'm not familiar with that James. So what's he play? Where does he play?
He sort of sits in like the hole behind the front.
Yeah,
he jumps
out to the side so he doesn't get a good kick every now and again as well. I must admit,
like a number 10.
But he came from Real Madrid, Charlie, and again another example of a team not knowing how to play a player every week, and so he's sort of pushed out of Madrid, and we've not paid any money for him, which is just ridiculous in this day and age to pick up a player like him, you know, of his quality and not pay anything. And you're paying the premium on his wages, but you know, Madrid were looking at getting him off the wage bill. You know, so I'm really, you know, I'm pleased with that. But there's other factors as well. I think that, you know, he's organised the back 4 and how we defend, and you know, irrespective of a goalkeeper or whatever. If we were shocking at the back before Ancelotti turned up. You know, marking thin air basically, and he's at least got a system now where we can actually grind out a 0-0 when it's needed.
Yeah.
Because there's been weeks where we haven't played particularly well, but we've got a result, and I like that. I take that every day of the week.
That's it. Like Ronald Koeman was the manager, wasn't he? Was he the one before? Yeah. Or was the one before? Martinez. He did all right, Martinez. You know what I mean? He's gone to Portugal, but Koeman come in.
Is that the dancing guy they always show with the dancing? Martinez, is that the guy who used to? They always show that one of the Everton managers. They used to show always dancing, doing some stupid dance move.
It wouldn't surprise me being him. Yes. Probably Brown Shoes, I think it was his name, but he was just like.
But he's not. Well, Koeman's not doing too well at Barcelona, is he? You know,
No. He didn't do very well at Everton.
No. And the thing with Koeman is he was such a great player. You think back to the 80s, 90s when he was playing, he was an amazing player. Holland, great player. But as a manager, I don't think he's really done it. He done it. Was he at Southampton?
He was at Southampton and was half decent, but he picked up someone else's Southampton team, I think.
He did, yeah.
He didn't sort of revitalise it as much as he'd like everybody to believe.
No. And then you had Allardyce as well for a bit, didn't you?
Don't. That's the we don't mention that.
No hugging, lads. No kissing.
Yeah.
Allardyce in, you know. And I'll go back to what we said in the text. I think he'd be great as Mr. Toad.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'll go with that. Definitely.
Yeah. Allardyce, with the type of manager Allardyce is, he's where he is. He's suited the team he's at now, which is West Brom. Do you know what I mean? That's where he needs to be. A club like Everton. All right, I'm from the other side of Stanley Park. You know what I mean? But I want to see Everton do well. Do you know what I mean? Because they're part of the city. Do you know what I mean? And they should be towards the top. You know, I grew up. I was born in '77, so my earliest memories of football was Liverpool and Everton fighting out for the title, fighting out for the FA Cup, year in, year out. And I'd like to see that come back again. You know, nothing hurt me more when I see Man United and Man City fighting for the title a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be happening to that city. I'm sorry. But, you know, I'd love to see us get back to that. That'd be great. That, and I think it's Moshiri. That's who the owner is of Everton.
Yeah, Moshiri.
That's him, yeah. And I think with the manager you got, I've got high hopes of you getting towards the top again. But like I'm going to reiterate what Charlie just said. I hope it's not at the expense of Liverpool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be us who'll be the bitter ones then, John.
Oh, there you go. You said. I'll tell you what. That's probably a good point at which to wrap it up for this week, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that real high of sort of that positivity you're talking about Everton after the two of you have suffered the week that you've had footballing wise, and to now round that off after an hour tonight of actually admitting that Everton are not that bad, really.
No, they're all right.
I'll say that. I'm going now. That's it. We're off. I'm off.
But I'm looking forward to the weeks ahead when Everton do poorly and we can have a go at you, John, because you've obviously enjoyed tonight too much.
I'm used to it, mate. I tell you.
You know, earlier on, both me and Charlie had our heads bowed and just shaking our heads, going, "I can't deal with this."
Yeah, and that's why it's good. That's why it's good, sort of being able to have a chat with everybody as well, and just sort of being able to talk about it on air on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
irrespective of how badly your team's done or how well your team's done, just come on, join the chat, and then we'll Disney it up so you don't feel as if we're totally talking soccer all night. And we'll go from there.
John, it's about the Disney as well, isn't it? Let's get Disney characters in so people who don't understand the football can get involved with the chat. So instead of saying Liverpool, we can be saying like Hercules, Voldemort, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it'd be great. Yeah. It'll be good. I'm sure we've all got ideas that we'll shoot off each other.
Exactly.
All right. So we are coming up on the hour. Any last comments or thoughts before we close this one down?
Yeah, if Liverpool don't start improving, I'm going to have to start thinking about whether I want to be a part of this show or anything.
Yeah.
Liverpool needs to improve. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter had to tell me to calm down when I was yelling at the TV during the Burnley game. It's like, calm down. I'm like, it was like that.
Yeah.
All you got to do, Charlie, is do what I do, right? Get something clear that you can see through and sit it in front of the telly So like, if you do accidentally throw something like the TV remote on your foot, it hits the thing in front of the telly and not the telly. And also lock your windows, so you can't be tempted to throw your telly out the window.
Yeah. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I can feel it getting better.
We're just going through a bad patch. Like I say, we're spoiled as Liverpool fans over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I can't complain. I'm not gonna complain at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Nah, good stuff.
I can't complain. After the slip, I'm never gonna complain. So
Yeah.
the
That's
slip-
so, you mentioned the slip. Don't do that, Charlie. We don't mention the slip. Don't. There's an Evertonian in here. We don't mention the slip. Like,
You gotta give them a laugh, right?
I'm saying nothing.
I like making people happy. I'm sorry.
before we go off, because you said that now, we moved up from Liverpool to Cumbria, because I went to work on a nuclear site up here, and I was in an office, and there was a lad from up here who's a Man United supporter, and where my desk was, where I sat, it was right by the door of the toilets, and there was them A-boards that you get, like, be careful here, there's a slip, and it says slippery, right? And he put it right next to my desk with a photograph of Steven Gerrard on it. So I obliged by sticking, a big Liverpool flag over his desk when we won the European Cup.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is it's the football banter, it's the banter, isn't it? So I'm glad John's an Evertonian, because if we were all Liverpool fans, it'd be boring. We'd all just be sitting here moaning. He'd come in with a big smile on his face.
I'll try and keep that smile even if we don't win for the rest of the season.
That's it.
All right. So thank you everyone who did decide to join us tonight. Hopefully next week we can add a little bit more Disney to it. Probably going to be back on Steven's channel next week, right?
Yeah, more than likely, whichever. Yeah,
yeah.
Do that.
And then
And we won't be competing with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers next week either. So
yeah, it will be well, not next week. We have the Super Bowl coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah, we can be the show before your Super Bowl night.
The pre-show. That's right.
Yeah.
When's the Super Bowl, Charlie? When's that?
2 weeks. 2 weeks tonight.
Yeah, February 7th. They usually start around 6, but they usually have stuff going all day pretty much. And but we should be able to get off if we want to do it. We'll be able to get off in time. That'll be good. And it looks like, I don't know, I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's looking pretty good for Tom Brady right now. So
yeah, 2 minute warning coming up.
Yeah, you guys get NFL over there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So thank you again for stopping by. For John and Steven, we really appreciate you being here. Anything else you guys want to say? You good?
Nah, we're good. Thanks, Charlie.
Good.
All right. And
Been a pleasure chatting to you tonight, lads.
And we will see you hopefully next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.